about the top 3 things I hate about the Aprilia Tuono. Okay, so let's get it started. Okay, obviously what I hate about it is not the sound. This is an absolutely fantastic motorcycle, and it's by far the best one I've ever owned. And there's actually very few things that are not good about the Aprilia Tuono, but here's the top 3, okay? So the first one, you notice as soon as you sit on it, especially the older one, so the 1000 version, which were out from 2012 or 13 till 2015, I believe. Anyways, before the 1100s came out, the seat is rock hard. All right, there's no ifs or buts about it. There's nothing you can do about it in terms of sitting differently or whatever. The seat is just absolutely rock hard. So what you got to do is you got to replace it. You got a couple options. One of them is the Aprilia gel seat. The Aprilia gel seat is a good upgrade. An even better upgrade is the Saddleman seat, which is the one that I have right now. And the bike becomes very, very, very comfortable as a result of upgrading the seat. So that's very easy to do. Problem number 1 solved. Problem number 2. The suspension is so stiff. Like, holy cow, is it really necessary to have a motorcycle with a suspension as stiff as the Aprilia Tuono? And, you know, my friends were telling me, yeah, you know, it's an Italian bike, so they're just all stiff and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I've ridden like 10 Gixxers before that, from 750s to 1000s, and none of them were anywhere near as stiff as it was. And I'm thinking there's no way that a sport naked bike, which technically is less aggressive of a motorcycle, should be as stiff. Anyways, my last track day, I was at Calabogie, and accelerated suspension, or what's it called? I forget. Anyways, his name is Jamie. He was there, and he tuned the suspension with the compression rebound and sag for my weight. $60, very simple, using the factory settings, not factory, but the factory hardware that the bike comes with, which is the SAC suspension. It's not Öhlins, big deal. It's an amazing suspension, especially once you get it tuned for your weight. Guess what? This is no longer the stiffest motorcycle I've ever owned. Actually, far from that, it's by far the most comfortable. The damping is now absolutely perfect for my weight, and it's just a pleasure to drive it. So all you got to do, guys, is invest a few bucks. Either if you know how to do it yourself, you know what you're doing, then you wouldn't even be listening to me right now. But if that's not the case, invest, you know, just a few bucks and get it tuned by a professional for your specific body weight, and it's going to be the best money you'll ever spend on your bike. So there we go. With that solved, then the other thing about it is the windscreen. So from the factory, the Aprilia comes with a little tiny windscreen, which is actually quite nice looking. It's pleasing on the eyes and everything. But the problem with that is it doesn't offer very much in terms of wind buffeting. And so if you take this bike to the racetrack, you're gonna end up just kind of feeling like someone wants to rip the helmet right off your face. So that's also a problem that can very easily be solved by upgrading the windscreen. And there's actually quite a lot of options out there. What you're seeing right here is the MRA Sport screen, they call it. They also have a touring screen. Anyways, I got the sport screen from Moto Million. I dealt with Manny at Moto Million. Manny's such a great guy to deal with. I highly recommend you guys check out Moto Million for any kind of high-end parts for your bike. You know, he's got stuff from MotoGP, from World Superbike Racing. Just really, really nice, like, you know, quality components, titanium, little nuts and bolts and fasteners and whatnot. So Manny shipped me this MRA Sport screen, and by far it is the best upgrade you can do. So first of all, it still looks stock, you know, because that's what I was going for. I didn't want, you know, to change the aesthetics of this bike, which I actually find are quite nice. And okay, let's pass this guy. Thank you. So I really like the aesthetics of the bike. I didn't want to change it. If anything, I wanted it to look more like a sport bike, and this screen actually makes the bike look quite stock, which I find is very nice. Also the wind buffeting. So there's a huge improvement there, especially at speed. You're definitely going to notice it at highway speeds and on the racetrack. So at highway speeds, you're not going to feel like the wind is trying to push you off the motorcycle kind of thing. And then on the racetrack, you can tuck behind the bubble. And when you tuck behind the bubble, there's going to be no turbulence that's going to try to rip the helmet right off your face, which above 120 miles an hour with the stock windscreen, it's quite bad. So anyways, replace your windscreen with the MRA Sport and you will have zero issues with wind buffeting. So what can I say besides that? This motorcycle is absolutely fantastic. It's got the same engine from the RSV4. It's a very powerful, very good sounding engine. Obviously it's a V4, so there's nothing that really sounds like it. It's like a mixture between a sport bike and a Harley, if you can imagine what that sounds like. So anyway, I absolutely love it. It's comfortable, it performs well, it handles amazing. It's everything I could ever want from a road motorcycle, and I can even take it to the track. I had it at the racetrack 2 lapping days in a row on the stock Pirelli Corsa 2 tires, I think. No, Pirelli Diablo Corsa 2. I think that's what they're called. That's a really long name for tires, guys. Look how Michelin does it. Michelin Power Pure. Like, that's kind of easier to remember. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. Stock tires, first time riding racetrack after 5 years, and this bike was so awesome on the racetrack, just as good of a sport bike, especially with the upgraded windscreen. So if you're thinking about making a switch, I definitely recommend it. If you have a Tuono and these little 3 things bother you about it, change your seat, tune your suspension, change your windscreen, and you're gonna see this is a faultless motorcycle. Just absolutely faultless. Thanks very much for tuning in, guys. Check me out next time on Romanian Tractor. We'll bring you some other videos, some dirt bike stuff, some more street riding while we still have the season here in the North Pole. Still got maybe a month to go before winter storage. All right, peace.